Hi, everybody. We are back with another episode of the Latchkey Friends podcast and video. Elizabeth, it's great to see you again.
Good to see you.
We've had some good shows so far. We just recently talked to Lindsay about fighting with a hobo spider in her hot tub.
Spoiler, she won.
But it was a close call. Today's going to be another fantastic episode. This is our first one where we have crossed state lines for the podcast. We invite with us Emily into the show, Emily Starr, all the way from South Florida. Hi, Emily.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm so honored to be here.
Is this like the biggest moment in your life?
I mean, it's pretty big. I've been preparing all day, and I'm just really honored that you let a Floridian into the show. It's huge.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see if other Floridians are invited in after we see
I have a feeling I'll ruin it for everybody.
Do not screw this up.
If you ruin it, let's go down fantastic.
Entire South Florida community
Rides on my shoulders. Okay, great. I had no pressure before this, so this is perfect.
No pressure at all. So Emily, Liz and I are both from Utah. You're born and raised in Florida, is that correct?
I am a native Floridian, yes.
Okay, and it treats you well?
Yeah, I love Florida. There are palm trees and sunshine and no snow.
Okay, so you have a pool, you have a dog named Colt?
I do. He's insane.
And you're married to an astronaut named Mike?
Yep, and you don't need to know anything else about astronaut Mike. He's just an astronaut.
So you're living a pretty good life. You like being in Florida, but I've heard that it's like your whole life hasn't been Florida. All the family's not in Florida. Tell me a little bit about the other side, the non-Florida side of Emily Starr.
Yeah, so the Kester side of Emily Starr are Minnesotians, and they all live in Minnesota, where my dad grew up and is from. He's from a little town called Gaylord, Minnesota. And that's where I would go a ton when I was a kid with my family. And so that's where I got to spend all of my vacation time.
I'm going to pause you. Spell the name of the town.
Gaylord. It's Gaylord.
But pronounced?
Gaylord.
Fantastic. So I can feel you already becoming more Minnesotan as we go.
It happens.
So I would prefer, in fact, I implore that the rest of this conversation happens in your Minnesotan accent, please.
It's a fair request.
So take us back. So what, summers in Gaylord?
They would also make me go in the winter, and it was just brutally cold. And we would sit with my dad's next door neighbor. So we would go to my grandma's house, and we would go to his neighbor's house. And she was a lovely older lady who had a garden, and we would hang out with her. And then I learned that she would chop the heads off of rabbits who would eat her vegetable garden. And I was like 6. And so I stopped going to her house because no. And so that was a part of what we did when we were in Minnesota, when we weren't bundled up in the winter.
Why would you go in the winter?
Because my parents don't like me.
Is it a punishment?
They felt that if they had to, my dad felt that if he had to suffer as a child, so did I. And so it was a rite of passage. I think I just got Irish.
He was trying to toughen you up. You were living a life in Florida. You needed to see what it meant to be a stronger child.
Yes. Turns out I don't fare well in the snow.
So was it commonplace for if you found a rabbit eating your vegetables, you just cut their heads off?
Apparently.
Interesting.
Not okay.
So the headless rabbits, however, I understand, were not the only frightening part of your trips to Minnesota.
No. So once I found out that the headless rabbits occurred, I spent most of my time inside. And so there are things called basements in northern homes, which we do not have in Florida. And so my family would just send the kids to the basement to play. And that freaked me out because it was a really weird and dark place. And it had like a big freezer in it. And I thought that they kept dead bodies in there. And there was like a rocking horse in the corner and like just weird antiques. And it was a very creepy, dark, and dingy place. And I would play down there for hours.
Like the makings of a horror film.
It was.
So like those old school freezers that was really wide and would lift up the lid from the top.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that is for
that body could fit in.
Yeah, in Utah, where we do have basements, we call that a murder basement.
So that's what I called it as a kid.
Okay, so it seems like maybe you were scared of going down in the basement, but it seems like you were just being a kid, and maybe you were scared of the basement.
Yes, and that is what I thought for many years, Spencer, that I was just afraid of the basement. And then as I got older and I learned more about my grandfather, whom I never met, I learned that he actually had a heart attack and died in that basement. And so it turns out that I had every right to feel like that place was haunted because it was.
At the risk of being insensitive, was he in the freezer?
I never looked to find out.
Good.
I couldn't do it.
Oh, so do you still go back to Minnesota?
No, the house was sold. I'll never go back there.
You still have relatives there?
Yeah, they have a dairy farm.
Ooh, a dairy farm?
Yeah.
You don't visit the dairy farm?
Well, one time they named a cow after me. It was a calf. And so my little cousin named the calf Emily, and I thought that was the sweetest thing in the world. And then I learned what they do with their calves when they grow older and no longer have a purpose for them. And I was like, never name a calf after me again and stop beheading animals. And so now I've written off Minnesota. And I don't go there anymore.
Here's what I learned about Minnesota. Cut off heads of animals. That's what you do in Minnesota. And you have murder basements. Just kidding, Minnesota. I love you.
I also feel that we've learned that when Emily's angry, she turns into Florida Emily. But when she's kind, it's Minnesotan Emily.
That is the truest thing of all time.
Now, I love your Minnesotan accent.
Thank you.
I feel like there's probably more accents inside of you.
Mm-mm. I don't know why you would have that impression.
Elizabeth,
Strange.
do you think you can talk her into giving us another accent?
I could try. I know you have a really great Colt accent that I just adore because Colt's adorable and you're adorable talking as Colt.
So who is Colt?
Colt is our Brittany dog. They used to be called Brittany Spaniels, but they lost the Spaniel name probably because they're psychotic. So he's just a Brittany.
I thought you were going to say he lost it because of a lawsuit with Britney Spears.
Well, that's another story for another podcast, Spencer.
Okay, we'll save it. So Colt, does Colt have his own voice or something?
Yes. So Colt has severe allergies. He gets allergy shots because he has such severe allergies, and he's a big nerd. And so Colt has conversations with Spencer and Liz, and they sound like this. Hey guys, you're doing so great on your podcast today, and I've really loved listening to all of your episodes, and I can't wait until I'm one of your special guests.
Oh my God, Emily, you are the best. Seriously.
I can't wait until all of my thousands of fans watch this and are no longer my fans.
Oh, it's just going to grow. They're going to love you more. You're going to be sitting in a meeting and they're going to go, hey, I want you to do this entire meeting in Colt's voice.
And then I'm just going to go in and out of Irish accents.
Thank you.
Now, I love Colt's accent, but what if maybe you were talking about the podcast whilst teaching your yoga class? Maybe what would kind of be the voice you would use for that class?
This has been such a lovely, calming experience with both of you. I have learned so much about my childhood and our time here together. I sincerely look forward to our future coming togethers.
Oh my God, the moment you talked, I like had peace, like just infuse my entire body. You need to do voiceover. Could you just do like morning mantras for me? Just record them and I'll just listen to them when I get up in the morning.
You betcha.
And I would like to hear morning mantras from Colt. So could you give us a morning mantra from Colt?
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, it's time to go outside, wake up, wake up, wake up, it's time to go outside. Are we gonna play? Are we gonna play? Are we gonna play?
I love it.
I don't think you want a morning mantra.
This could be a whole thing where you record voices and wake people up in the morning.
This is what I've always wanted.
It's in your dream.
Quarantine time, there's no better time to get into a new career.
No better time. Voiceover artists.
Yeah.
Podcast extraordinaire.
Well, I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds, but Liz, you tell me if you agree. On behalf of the Latchkey Friends family,
Yeah.
really, more Emily?
Oh, for sure.
I think
It would be my honor.
For
I don't
sure.
think not just South Florida, but all of Florida is now feeling the love, and they can all be guests now because of you.
Oh, I hope
Not
I
like
did
that, but
them
the
proud.
bar is set high. It's set high. So listen, Floridians, you come on this show, you better bring your A game. That's all I'm saying.
Right. That's right.
So we're gonna have Emily send us out. She's gonna let people know about our social media handle at Latchkey Friends. Liz, you can choose. You want Minnesotan accent? Do you want Colt accent? Do you want yoga? Or there's a secret one, which is Emily as public service announcement, overhead voice from airplane.
I would like that one.
Okay, at Latchkey Friends. Do you think that you can deliver on this for us, Emily?
Direct us out, Em.
I'm gonna try. Thank you for coming to this episode of Latchkey Friends. Please be sure to give us a follow at Latchkey Friends.
Fantastic.
Until next time.
That was so good. That was so good. That was so good. Emily Starr, you're pretty much the best guest. Thank you so much for joining us. As the lovely overhead announcement said, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube at Latchkey Friends. Check out the podcast. Tell a friend. Tell your grandparents in Minnesota. Tell them Emily sent you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.